Hey team, welcome back to HD Designs Crochet, HGDC. I'm Heather and this is my channel all about granny squares, motherhood, running a business and everything in between. You are joining me on my journey to financial freedom, one granny square at a time. If you're brand new, hi, hello and welcome. Thank you so much for giving HGDC this chance. I hope that you have a project and you're going to get all comfy and spend some time with us. And if you're returning, hey team, what's good? What's happening? I hope that you're tickety-boo. How have you been? We have had snow. It has been cold. There has been so much going on and I have so much to catch you up on. So grab yourself your crochet hook, a cup of something nice and warm, and let's jump into it, shall we? My hair's escaping. You are joining me today for the traditional sit-down chat. I have got all of my finished objects, my works in progress, all of my inside HGDC, all of the need-to-know insider information about my business. I also have a few things on Christmas, our home life. So yeah, grab yourself something cozy to work on and let's get started. I can't wait to show you the granny squares. Right, I'm just going to grab a blanket because I don't have socks on and it's chilly down here. I feel like the heating needs to kick in. Not sure why it hasn't. I feel like I only just sat down like last week to record my last vlog, my November vlog, and now we are in December. It's the 2nd of December today. How have we got to that point already? No way. A whole month has passed. No, that's crazy. Anyways, I have one finished object, but he's part of the Christmas section, so I'm going to save him and show him then, which means I'm going straight into my works in progress. And of those, I have quite a few. First of all, Mitchell, my brother Mitchell, Uncle Mitchu. If you were watching this, you need to pause it right now and get somebody else in the room to fast forward it. Also, hi Rara, if you're watching this, love you. You need to pause this because I'm about to show your cushion and I know you don't want any spoilers, so you need to whiz it on. Okay, have you paused it? Good. Right, so now that we've moved Mitchell out of here, I can show you his cushion. Mitchell is my brother and he commissioned 2 cushions from me. He wanted my Amore cushion and he wanted my comfort cushion. And I have shown you all of the yarn previously. For his Amore cushion, I went with these 2 colours. We have Vanilla Fudge and Antique Gold. And these are from the Yarnsmith double knit range. It's 100% acrylic. I love this yarn. Disclaimer, I have previously been gifted this yarn, but all of this was purchased. It's working up so beautifully. I have used up a whole 100 grams of the Vanilla Fudge already and a very teeny tiny amount of the Antique Gold. It's probably nearing 30 grams I've used of that so far. I have a tiny little bit left, so by the time I've used this, I'll probably have at least 50 grams remaining, I believe. And most of that I'm probably going to put into his comfort cushion. So, are you ready? We're going to do the... Ta-da! This is my Amore cushion. I designed the pattern. You can get this on my website. And I chose to go with solid granny squares. And I think it's really, really effective. So as you can see, the Antique Gold is for the heart and for the seam. The seam on the top is purposely left as a design feature. And then the rest of the granny squares is in the Vanilla Fudge. Now, as I started working on it, I was a bit like, this is, like, I love playing with the colour. but I just had a vision for this. I knew it was going to work out, and here we are. I'm really, really pleased with it. I have actually woven in every single end other than on the seam, and I shall prove it. There are no ends other than the seam. I have been very, very disciplined. I will add a little disclaimer in there and say that if you are working on a granny square project, please weave your ends in as you go. The only reason I don't do it on the projects I'm designing is because when you undo it, it makes it so, so difficult. And I actually broke that rule with a whip that I'm going to show you in a minute. And I was so annoyed at myself that I couldn't touch it for like a week. Purely because once you've woven them ends in, you're making your work nearly indestructible, and I had to go at it with the scissors. I need to weave in the ends on the seam, and then what I've decided to do for this is, rather than buttons, I'm going to do the ties, very similar to my frilly cushion and my comfort cushion, rather than buttonholes. And I'm going to do the ties in the antique gold. So that one is so very, very nearly done. I will get that done over the next few days. The way I work on my projects is like I pick and choose when to do them. So if I am with Teddy and I have, say he's like playing, and I can pick up some crochet and do it and put it down and keep going back in and out and dipping in and out, then I will do that. So a lot of this has just been done around Teddy playing and car journeys. Obviously I've been a passenger, and just travel time and things like that. And then when I have chunks of time when either he's asleep or he's with Brad or whatever it may be, I will then work on the other projects that are a lot more involved. Because I've already made this pattern, written this up, I don't need to take photos. I know exactly what I'm doing, so I can just get on with it. Hence why it's not quite completed. I've had crochet time, but I have to choose where I'm putting it. So most likely whilst Teddy is having his bath, I will sit beside the bath and work on that, and just bit by bit, this is how I get things done. Which means that very soon I will be able to start the second cushion, the comfort cushion. However, I can't quite visualize it, and the way my brain works is I can see the finished object and then I crochet it to how, like, the specification that I can see in my head. I can't see this, so it's been a huge barrier to me starting it, because I don't know what it's going to be, what it's supposed to look like. I don't know how you lot's brains work, but I can very vividly see the finished object. I can't visualize that for a comfort cushion. My main sticking point being that I like the colours to be randomly selected, perfectly curated to look randomly selected. And I don't like the colours to be within proximity of each other. So I don't like the repeats to be too close by, because I like it to look like a scattered effect. I don't have enough colours to do that, so I'm not sure what to do. Let me grab the yarn and then maybe you can help me. In this bag, which I cannot wait to break into, and best believe that is going to be a Make Granny Square vlog with me as well, I have this yarn, all of this yarn. You've seen the colours before, so I'll just hold them up for you to see. And if you're new, then you need to go and watch some of my previous vlogs where I talk all about it. But I've got these colours. This is the colour selection. Really nice colour selection. And then this is the joining colour. And I'm just not sure. I don't know whether to make the granny squares solid That is an option, but because Amore is solid, I wanted to do the traditional granny square where you change each round, just so that he's getting some different texture on his sofa. So then if I change each round, I worked out that each colour, 3, 6, I think I need like 16 of each colour in the centre. But then I just don't know how, oh gosh, I can't pick them up again. But then I just don't know how to arrange them that they won't be touching. And so because I can't see the colour arrangement, I'm not sure how to go about it. So it might just be a case of dive in and play about with the colour. Would you vote go for the solid colour granny square, so like 2 rounds in one colour, or do my more traditional granny square where each round is a different colour and then it will all be joined in this one? So that is a choice I need to make pretty soon so that I can get those done. My next work in progress is most likely to be frogged, so I was really unsure whether to show you. But I have put a fair amount of work in, so I figured let me show you and I'll tell you the story. So it is this. Oh, and now I'm holding it up, I really like it. So I'm so torn. Okay, here's the background details. I went to the cinema this weekend. It's like the first time in 3 years since I have had Teddy. And I knew that I wanted to take a project that I could work on. And ideally that would be joining granny squares because I don't really need to look or pay attention to what I'm doing. However, for the big, huge, massive blanket that I have in mind that I have been stockpiling granny squares for, I don't have the joining colour. I haven't ordered it. I was going to order it over Christmas. So I figured that I would just take these granny squares and just join them with yarn that I already have. Because at least it would keep my hands busy. I don't really see it as time wasted. Even if I frog it at that moment in time, all I wanted to do was to crochet and I got a chance to do that. Ideally, I would have had the joining colour because I would have made a lot of progress by now. But by the time I thought of it, it was way too late to order it and get it on time. And I know what yarn I want to use as the joining colour, so I was just like, So I took this and I got most of this. I got like halfway through this pink round done whilst I did this 4 and a few of these rows, a few of these squares is in like 4 or 5 of the parchment colour joining round on the way there. The rest I did in the cinema. Pretty decent film, by the way, if you haven't seen it. I've seen it at the theatre and nothing beats the theatre, but it was a great film. I decided to just use yarn that I've got, so I went with pink in the centre. This is like a parchment colour that I had in stash that was gifted to me, and then I've gone with the glitter pink. And I decided to just like keep going round and round rather than doing it in rows. And now I hold it up, I really like it. So I am really torn. My thinking was to just frog it because as these rounds get bigger, I'm going to need more and more yarn to be able to do an entire row. And as I'm using stash, some of them aren't even 100-gram balls. So the bigger it gets, that I'm not going to have the yarn to continue. Oh yeah. But then I was thinking, okay, maybe I could make like multiple of these blocks. So I could do like a pink in the middle, some of the parchment, and then another colour around it. And then maybe I could put those blocks together. But then like, is it going to be too busy? Does it matter? Should I just keep going? Part of me is like, I don't want to weave in all of the ends on a blanket that I don't, hand on heart, truly love and want to pull out and use. I do really like that. As it currently stands, because I want to put a second round on in the glitter pink, I'm going to have to go get some more of that anyway. I believe this was from the pound shop. So I'm already now looking at buying yarn to put into it when the whole point was to use what I've got. So it would make more sense just to frog it, wouldn't it? What do you think? Frog or keep? Like, it's so beautiful. I'm really torn. I am really, really torn. So, yeah, I'm really torn at the moment. Either way, it's looking like I'm going to need to put some sort of money. I'm going to need some sort of budget to put into joining yarn. So I may as well go with the original plan. Or do I just scrap this? I don't know. And I would like to make a granny square blanket joined in the glittery pink at some point because it's beautiful. I think when I last checked there was 60, it was like 8x8 in granny squares, and then I'd started adding on the next grid, which would then be like 9x9. So that's not too bad considering I did that in about 3.5 hours. Amazing, actually. It wouldn't take me long to do it again. So fear not if you're fretting about the amount of work that went into it. I could do it again. Please let me know below what I should do. Because I am really not sure on that one. I am not sure. Okay. That takes me into my next work in progress, which is actually a part of my Inside HGDC. So let's go into that section. Back in September, I started the HGDC Sub Squad. It is a bi-monthly, so every 60 days, a bi-monthly subscription to an exclusive crochet bag pattern. And you are currently looking at bag 3. This will be the one available on the 1st of January. And I have been working on it since, I think I started this back in like May. I had the idea and then I've just been doing bits, putting it down, doing bits, putting it down. I actually had this finished last week. I installed the zip completely and I took a little bit of footage because, as you can see, I took it apart again, which I did today during nap time. The reason being is the zip looked like it was doing the Mexican wave. It was like this. And so want to address that. It was like zip, I think it was like my 4th or 5th attempt at installing the zip. Not because it's difficult to install a zip, I don't want to put anybody off, purely just because I know how I want it to look in my mind and it wasn't coming out how I wanted. And ultimately I am striving for like excellence. I don't want it to be just good enough, I want it to be amazing. And then I can finally call for testers on it. So if you're in my Facebook group, you will have seen that I posted in there earlier this morning. It was like 3 o'clock this morning. Asking for names for this bag. I do not have a name for it, not at all. I've been really scared of this bag. I have been very scared of this bag because I have such high hopes for it and I want it to do so well. And the pattern is something that I've put so much thought and care and attention to detail in that it scares me. It scares me that it might not do well. It scares me that people are going to find faults in the pattern. It scares me that I'm just not going to be able to pull this together. Like, this spirit of fear has really got a hold on me. Be gone. And because of that, I don't have a name for it. Every time I work on it, I just have this gremlin in my head like, who do you even think you are? You're not going to be able to pull this off. I want this pattern to be available on the 1st of January and it's the 2nd of December today. So I need to get a move on, getting the pattern written up and the photos finished so that my testers have got enough time to test it as well, which then is then feeding into that whole, you're not going to be able to pull this off because I'm dragging my feet so much that I'm making it more difficult for myself. I've joined this in a cream and I've gone with the solid granny squares, and I feel like this makes it look really modern and really like wearable. It also is very reminiscent of my revival jumper that I made, the second version, because it is the exact same colour scheme. This is like leftovers of that yarn basically. And it will have a zip to close. It's got the gold hardware, chunky gold hardware, and then the handle is all crocheted, and it just looks beautiful. Like everything that I have been learning about crochet has gone into this. It's stunning. So I need a name. I usually go for one word, and it's usually based off the inspiration. So it needs to be something like about overcoming fear, mountainous, courage. It needs to be about like pursuing dreams. I had like this little seed of an idea, and then this came from it. And it hasn't been a quick, like, some patterns come to me and then within like days I've put it together, and this one has been so much more of a slow progress. But the next time you see it, it will be completed, and you will also be able to get the pattern yourself as part of the HGDC sub squad. This will be January and February's instalment. Last time I asked for name ideas, it was already in testing, and I didn't feel like I could change it. Because this isn't in testing, it's the perfect time to name a HGDC pattern. Yeah, so there's that one. I have also been working on the next bag, which will be bag 4, and then I have the design ideas for bags 5 and 6 as well. And then I've also been working on lots of other little bits in the background. One of my main things for me is that this time last year I entered into some collaborations with Hobie Yarn, and then I actually completed the first one, which was a blanket. It came to the writing up process, and around that time I actually did quite a lot of vlogging and I never shared them, so maybe I will put that together for you. Long story short, I never ended up completing that collaboration, and as more time goes on, the more it is bugging me. Let me grab the bits and bobs and then I can show you. I think I named it Starstruck. I need to double check. But this time last year, I was feverishly working away on this. It's so beautiful. It has granny squares. Obviously, it's granny squares, but it has these different blocks. So there is a heart, and then there is a star. And it's very reminiscent of patchwork quilts. I really want to learn to sew. I can sew, but I want to like really work on my skills. So I can't justify the fabric and the time at the moment, but I can crochet it. So when this collaboration came forward, I decided to make this blanket, and I struggled with this blanket for a number of reasons. One, I have never been sent a brief and been told like this is the specification you need to work to. Normally I have the yarn and I've already got an idea, so it was a complete reverse to what I'm used to. And the other reason I struggled was just at the time just burnout and overwhelm from my personal life. I'm really sorry, Hobie Yarn, that I haven't completed these as of yet. They are not gone from my mind and I do really want to finish it. Part of the stumbling block on this one for me is that I need to go back and take some proper photos of like step by step for each block, and in order to do that I need the Hobie yarn to do it, of which I have none left, so I now need to order some, and then I just need to get those photos done and get this pattern written up and out there. I know so many of you want to make it and it is truly beautiful, and I would love to have it on our sofa as well. Though having said that, whatever goes on the sofa is going to get trashed, so maybe it won't go on our sofa. I'd love to find a way to display it away from the dog's fluff and Teddy's crumbs. So yeah, I'd love to have like a antique cabinet, like an armoire with glass doors, and then you would just see all of my crochet blankets really nicely folded up there. And then one day in the future, when I'm in a different season of life, we can use these blankets without them being absolutely trash. There's this one, which I'm now going to leave on my legs because I am really cold. And then I also entered into a collaboration to design a bag pattern, and the brief was like flower power, summery, and so I ordered some of this jute yarn. It's called Judy, it's 100% jute, and again, I've never worked with this yarn. I just ordered based off what I thought might work, and I did a few testers, like samples. I did a few samples, and although the yarn works up beautifully, it's not what I had in mind for my design. So this was a risk that did not pay off. In actual fact, it's a risk that bit me on the bum a little bit. And because of that, this whole project just came to a grinding halt because I couldn't visualize my way through it. I also ordered this base. You can see it's still got the tag on it. This is the plywood base. It's 25 by 4 by 12.4 centimeters. And then I also ordered these handles. And then they also sent me some gold hardware. Love a bit of gold, I do. And then I also received the cotton pack as well. I have taken a couple of colours out of here, but I also got I think it was like a Summer Friends colour pack. It's colour pack 12, and there's 10 times 50 grams of cotton yarns, and it's in this ombre colour. And I had visions of like a crocheted handle, like a body strap with like flowers, and it looks really pretty in my head. It just didn't quite come together. I'm going to revisit the brief on that one, order some more yarn so that I can deliver on that collaboration, and also order a little bit more of this yarn just so I can make the blocks and then take the pictures. And I might order enough yarn that I can then make a cushion out of the blocks that I make. Otherwise it would just go to waste, won't it? So yeah, it's just me learning on the job really, and just learning from my mistakes. This is a design that I should have sat down and just made the photos as I went along, because I then came to the end bit and I didn't have the yarn to take the photos. And that's just part and parcel of me learning as I go along. Like, as I said, I have projects that I can do whilst I'm with Teddy, and then this one to some extent I needed to do in my time on my own. So rather than it like beating a drum in the back of my mind, I just want to make good on it now and get them done. There are going to be some very big projects coming up. And then my other consideration is whether I'm going to put together a collection for 2025. Now, I previously spoke to you about how my comfort cushion didn't go as well as I would have liked, and I have received some really amazing feedback on that vlog, and quite a few people commented saying like the collection is the way to go. And I had so much fun putting my collection together, so much fun putting it together, and it did do really well, but there was a few stumbling blocks that basically ended up grinding me to a halt. A big part of that basically is that we made the decision that we wouldn't put my son into childcare, and because of that decision, it means that all the crochet I get done around having him with me. So I have like on average 4 to 6 hours a week where Teddy's not with me to get work done. And then any other work that I want to get done, I do with him or once he's asleep. I get a lot of editing and whatnot done when he's asleep, and then I do a lot of crochet around him and again when he's asleep. But the issue I start to run into is in the winter season, when germ season hits us, those 4 to 6 hours disappear because he needs me, and because generally once he gets something, he passes it on to me as well. And on top of that, when he's poorly, I know there's kids out there that just sleep because they're poorly, whereas Teddy really struggles to sleep when he's poorly. And so he might only have a couple of hours. He's most likely to wake up frequently, like I'm talking every 20 to 30 minutes. And he's most likely to start his day at 2:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30 in the morning because he just can't sleep because he feels so grotty. That just then has a direct impact on how much work I get done. And that is basically what happened with this one. So I released my collection and I did like a massive push from coming back off my maternity leave in the March to releasing the collection in the August. September, I was like riding high, the collection had done well, I felt like I was on top of things, and then I like crashed into October, November, December, where Teddy was repeatedly poorly. Our whole household was poorly. So myself, Brad and Teddy were all poorly. It's just us three. And so it just became increasingly difficult. And I still don't know how to navigate that, because even if he was to be in childcare, because I know it's our choice not to put him in there, if he was in childcare, like the amount of parents that have said to me, as soon as they go into some form of daycare, like the germs are even worse. We're talking back-to-back virus, illness, everything, and some immune systems just don't shake things off as quickly. If the pandemic taught us anything, it's that germs affect people differently. Some people never recovered, and some people still have long-term COVID, and some people didn't even know that they had it, and then there's all of those in between. So even if I put him into childcare, if he's that poorly that frequently, he's probably just going to be missing days and wouldn't have been in there anyway because he needed the time to recover. I am just winging it. Like, I try really hard to work whilst taking care of my child. I'm just winging it. Like, I want my home and my child and my marriage to not just survive but thrive in this season. So that gets my main priority. But for me as a person and an individual, crochet is so important. My creativity is so important. And I have found that my creativity started to spill into our home and making sure it's like a warm and safe and inviting space. Fitting HGDC and my home life together, it's so tough. Teddy had a cough in October, and then in November, we kind of just got over that. And then we went into November. I feel like we skidded into November with a lingering cold that either reanimated or just, I don't know whether we never shook it off or whether we just got another strain of something, but then we went straight into another cold. And it's just had such a huge impact on our family. Because Teddy has struggled to sleep and because he's only wanted me to be with him, it's just eaten into my crochet time. I'm just about keeping up with my content and just about keeping up with the sub squad. So I feel like I'm doing the bare minimum whilst making sure that I'm pouring everything into Teddy. But then it becomes a little bit of a cycle where if I don't have crochet time and if I don't have these projects and these things to work towards, I feel myself sinking. But then if I focus too much on this, my home life sinks. So it's just about like keeping it all going. And very much right now, home needs more of me than what I can put into HGDC. And there was a comment, Emma left a comment a few vlogs ago saying like, I think you're setting yourself up for so much pressure if you try and put a pattern out every month. And you were right. You were so right. And literally like a week after you left that comment, we just got whooped upside the head with cold and flu season. I'm sharing all this because I don't have the answers. It is very much something that has been a struggle the last few weeks. I'm very much trying to be like, I get done what I get done, and I'm doing my very best. But it is hard when that means that my patterns aren't getting the best of me, my testers aren't getting the best of me, all of the designs and the dreams and all of the things I want to do are just moving along, but so slowly that sometimes you can't even see any progress. And all that to say that I really hesitate to commit to another collection. I really do, because how and when and where and at what cost, I don't know. I don't have any answers. I'm literally just sharing this. I don't know many stay-at-home mamas that are on one income or reduced income, that have their own creative business and are reaching the heights that I want to reach. So maybe I will be that person for you. I don't know. Basically, I'm just sharing this. I'm sharing this because our reality is different. Although I know it's possible, I am very much figuring this out as I go along. I am figuring this out. I would very much like to do a collection next year. I just do not know where that time or that energy is going to come from. I don't know. And because I am due to start counselling again for PTSD, for everything that went on with Teddy's pregnancy and delivery, I really don't want to add anything extra on my plate. And I can see that last year things started to unravel more for me around the time I stopped my counselling, which also coincided with germ season. But I know going into counselling, I'm going to need to be able to take a step back, and it's just so messy. It is just so messy, and it is not clear cut, and I don't know what I'm going to do, and I don't know what my goals are for 2025. I know what I want them to be. I just don't know how I'm going to do all of this. I just don't know. I do feel very torn between the needs of my home and my family and my own needs. And I can already hear the comments of like, you need to take care of yourself, you need to pour into yourself. Like, I know that, it's all well and good. But when it's just you that can do these things, like, it's only me that can be the mama, and it's only me that can take care of my home and my family. And it's only me that can do the HGDC stuff. It's just me. It's only me. I was including this segment because I want it to be inspiring, and I want it to be really honest. And so right now I just have to be really honest and be like, it is tough, and I feel like I'm muddling my way through the best I can, and that I'm so sure, I'm so convicted that HGDC can be a decent income alongside doing all the things for my family that I want to do, and I'm finding my way through it all. So won't you just join me along the way? So in terms of patterns, I want to share Shopper as much as possible. I'd love to increase my sign-ups by 5 people in November, which will take me to 25 people. In terms of patterns, I want to get bag 4. I want to get bag 3. It's just a zip completed and into testing. I want to get bag 4 finished, and I also want to start on Mitchell's cushion. I'm not sure if I'm going to do comfort or Amore. I think it's most likely to be comfort first. The nice to-dos would be to work more on Nebula and to get the frilly and comfort pouch completed. I don't know how much crochet time I'm going to have in November. In terms of nice to-dos, I did a tiny little bit on Nebula and then it's gone back onto the works in progress shelf. I haven't touched frilly or the comfy pouch. I just haven't touched them. And I haven't added any granny squares to my stash, but I did randomly start joining them. In terms of ordering and like acquisitions, the only thing is more zips for the frilly pouches and the correct size for the comfort pouch. And once I've completed bag 4, I know exactly what I want for bag 5. So at that point, I will allow myself to order the items needed for that. And depending on how quickly I get these cushions done, I then need to order the cushion pads as well. So they're the only things on my list that I'm looking at getting this month. I can't believe that we're in December already, and that means we need to go through my goals. Everything I set in November and everything I'm going to set for December. So I'm just going to watch back my previous video to make sure that we're on the same page. I haven't ordered anything, not a single thing. No zips. I haven't ordered anything for bag 4 or 5, and I haven't ordered the cushion pads, but I will now order the smaller one now it's almost finished. And I haven't reached out for planner feedback either. Like this month, everything has just completely ground to a halt, which is quite demoralizing. It really is. I just put everything into making sure that Teddy's okay and keeping the house running, and in that moment that's all that I could do. So I'm not mad at myself. It's just really demoralizing how quickly everything just comes to a standstill. Admin, big blanket tracker, and I need to get the patterns ready for bag 3. And then whatever I can get done on the comfort and frilly pouch. So then the only test that I should then have running is Shopper will be finishing up, and hopefully I will start bag 3 for testing. So a whole lot less pressure, a whole lot less to do on my plans, and a lot more crochet time, which is going to be lovely. There was quite a lot more admin last month, and that does get a little bit tough. And in terms of testing, the Shopper test is now finished. I just need to do the final check-in, and I need to start the bag 3 test. So it's quite ironic because I finished that section saying like a whole lot less pressure, and then everything just came to a complete standstill. It is gutting because I reduced my to-do list so massively and then I just didn't get any of it done. And although it is for good reason, it's still such a kicker. The whole month wasn't doom and gloom. I did get round to a couple of things that I am proud of. So I received 3 sign-ups for the HGDC sub squad. No, I received 4, and then one person decided that they couldn't continue due to their budget, which is perfectly understandable. So I am pleased with that, to have 3 sign-ups. I would have liked to have pushed it for more, but considering I only did 1 or 2 posts, I feel like that is amazing. I kept my YouTube content going, which is also, I'm really proud of that as well, because it would have been very easy to be like, we're not well, and basically just not post for this entire month. I've kept that going. Brad took a week off, and that did impact the amount of time that I had to work on things, because I just wanted to spend time with Brad and Teddy, and we were recovering from some sort of cold. The cold that just kept on giving. But we had a really nice amount of time as a family. I made a lot of progress on my zip for this bag. I went from not being able to see how I was going to put it together to putting it together, and now I'm working on what is hopefully the final iteration of it, ready to be written up, and I have taken photos of that throughout as well. I've almost finished one of Mitchell's cushions, and it was only on my to-do list to start one, so that is great as well. Oh, and another good thing is that I restarted my emails. So I restarted my email subscription list. I've seen so many different influencers posting saying that their reach is just not the same on Instagram, and I have been feeling that as well. So I decided now is the time to start my email. And I sent out my first newsletter, and I'm about to send out my second one. So I'll put the link below. So if you want to join up, then you can get all of the updates on HGDC in real time. And then on the not so great, as I've already said, is that illness has really taken over, but I'm genuinely at a loss of what I could do any differently, because Teddy needed me. I wasn't very well myself. I genuinely don't see what else I could do. And if this continues throughout December, January, February, then it is what it is. And I am where I am. As gutting as that is to say, that if winter season is a write-off, then it's a write-off. I didn't end up getting the feedback on the planners, and the planners ideally I would have done the flash sale on Black Friday, which was the 29th of November. Just wasn't an option with us being poorly, and then the way that Brad's week off, he ended up last minute taking a week off to spend at home with us. So I plan on emailing everybody on my list that's previously had one and asking if they want to get another one for this year, and then going from there and just doing a really quick turnaround. I want to try and get these posted out to everybody by like early December. Well, we're in early December now. I'm thinking like the 10th of December, so that those overseas are within a chance of getting it by. Feel a little bit gutted because I feel like I've missed a trick here. I could have really been pushing that, really got sign-ups, and then I would have seen a massive increase in sign-ups for it. So I feel like I've not done the product justice. But rather than just skip a year, I'd rather at least, if only 10 go out, then at least 10 have gone out, and I want to order a new one for myself anyway. So December 2024 goals. Pattern stuff is to get bag 3 tested and released, ready for release for January as a sub squad. I also want to work on getting bag 4 completed so that I can be ahead of myself, especially if winter season is just going to keep giving. Then I need to have that ready to go. I don't want it to be that I'm like 2-3 weeks away from the release and then it's going into testing. I want to pull back a bit and have a bit more time, a bit more of a buffer. So then that means the nice to-dos will be to get Mitchell's second cushion finished and to keep making granny squares. Maybe I'll carry on joining the big blanket, maybe I'll frog that, I'm not sure. And then the test stuff is bag 3, and then the admin stuff is to order more Hobie yarn and to contact Hobie and get everything straightened out for the blanket and for the bag pattern for them. It would be really nice to go into the new year and have all of those obligations ticked off, but realistically, with it being the 2nd of December now, by the time the yarn arrives and I get around to doing it, I think it would be more prudent to say that I want to have those patterns completed by the end of the first quarter for 2025. So by the end of March 2025, those patterns will be completely done and my obligation will be done, because I would love to sign up to do more collaborations, but I cannot in good faith or with a clear conscience sign up right now with 2 outstanding. I need to get those finished. So also on my admin will be to get bag 3 written up, and then we will go from there. So it is a very, very small but mighty to-do list. It's a very small but mighty to-do list. I don't know, you can probably just tell I'm feeling a little bit flat. I'm feeling quite disheartened. I'm feeling a bit beaten down, a bit lost, and I'm purely going to focus on the things that really need to be done. I really want to keep my sub squad going. I really want to just get these collaborations done, and then I can start thinking about future projects and future collections and all of that stuff and 2025 goals. And I just keep reminding myself that right now this is a season and Teddy is only young for such a small amount of time, and I don't want to look back in 5 years' time and just think I rushed through every single moment. I rushed through every single bedtime. I rushed through every single nap time. I always had half of my mind elsewhere when I was playing with him. I don't want that, but I also don't want to see my business just fade. I do have another section to share with you, and that's Christmas. So we can lift the mood up a little bit. I have been working on Christmas objects and I can't wait to share them with you. My one and only finished object is a Christmas object, so please say hello to Teddy's elf. This is Teddy's elf and he has the cutest outfit ever. I made him his own granny square jumper. I actually took photos so that I could do a little free pattern for you so that you could make one for your elf. I know traditionally elf on the shelf comes along, creates a load of mischief, can't be touched and all of that stuff, but I have decided to do it differently. I feel like that's just my mantra, do it differently. It's like my life motto. I decided to do it differently for Teddy. So elf arrives after nap time and he is hiding somewhere in our lounge and he has Teddy's advent book. So we have told Teddy that elf helps Santa with all of the Christmas magic and elf brings his advent present, and his advent present is from Mama and Dada. We've decided we're not going down the whole Santa does all the presents route. We're trying to keep it as truthful as possible, and we are taking the stance that Santa is a fictional character, just like some of his favourite characters are in his TV programmes, and that presents come from Mama and Dada, that we do the hard work. Like, we don't want to lie to him, but we want him to have that magic. So this we feel is the best of both. So after his nap, we come downstairs and Brad has hidden elf and a book for him. We've done 2 days so far. And I actually created the book advent myself. So first of all, his jumper, it does have a little bit of fake snow from the tree on it. It is a granny square front and back and then just simple sleeves. And it's so quick and easy to make. It's double knit yarn. It's a 4.5mm hook. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 around a granny square, joined together in the green with the green sleeves. What do you think? He's so cute. And then I wrapped Teddy's advent. We're on day 2. Book 1 is currently with Teddy. He's taken it to his granddad. And then this was book 2 today, Story of Christmas. And then he has a little Christmas display on his picture ledges of different books that are Christmas related. So we are reading these to him before nap and bedtime. It is really, I love reading to him, and this is just as much for me as it is for him. And I really hope it'll be a tradition to come for many, many years. One thing I would like to do differently next year is, rather than wrap every single present, I would like to have drawstring bags to put them in. I don't know whether I'm going to buy plain ones and then maybe jazz them up with ribbon, applique, something, or if I'm going to make them, or a mix of both. So that is definitely a project to work on for next year. And I've made some Christmas decorations. You will have seen some of these in my previous vlog, and I have massively updated the tree, but I'm going to share that for vlog, like a part 2 vlog. It looks so good, and I can't wait to share it with you. For anyone that's not seen that vlog, part 1, then go watch it after this one. Here's a sneak peek. I made this bauble. It is jute. It is the Hobie jute yarn, and then I put a bow on it, and I just covered an old bauble that I had that I felt didn't match the theme that I wanted. Now I did use a glue gun, and the glue gun did get a little bit too overzealous. I did try PVA glue on another one, but it wasn't holding, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. But I'm going to try and make some more. And then I also have some pine cones, and I added ribbon and some twine, the same jute, so that I could hang the pine cones on my tree. I went with 2 different ribbons on those. And then I've also made some dried orange slices, and I've decided to go with the red ribbon on those. I know I probably should have done the jute because this is most likely to be thrown away, but I just wanted that pop of red. I probably should have put the red on the pine cones, but there we go. And then I've also made this star. I used some skewers, a load of the jute and some glue gun, and then it's just got this extra bundle of dried oranges on it at the moment. Again, the glue gun shows up a bit too much, but when you put it afar and you've just got like the fairy lights and twinkly lights, you can't tell. So these are the decorations that I have made so far. I have plans to make more decorations. As I said, that will be in a second vlog for Christmas. I think that is everything for today. Apologies for the lower mood. The last few weeks of poorly child and not feeling quite well myself have pulled me down a little bit. If you've watched this all the way through, then please leave the bow emoji below. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. I truly appreciate you spending this time and all of your comments. And this is the comment of the week. Right, it's time to tidy up and then, oh my head. Let's try and get some photos of these bits and bobs. I can get my yarn ordered as well. You are joining me on my journey to financial crochet.